Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Walk Talk here on Black Hole Radio and my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. I am your host and guide, Jojo Maria Ensaroma. March is the first of two nature months, and what a month of nature it has been in this 2020 Earth year of deep and radical change like we've never seen before on this planet. To honor the seasonal change that March brings, my theme is open up and adapt. And of course, I had no idea when I put this together how much adapting everybody on the planet would be going through. But as we are in the midst of old beliefs and structures giving way to new ones, so in this broadcast and video, which is the fifth and final for this month, I will focus on consciously adapting to personal development changes. But first, just a reminder that when I'm broadcasting live, you can listen through this phone number, which is 563-999-3089. Again, that's 563-999-3089. I will upload a video of this broadcast on Tuesday to my YouTube channel, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery. And you can ask questions or share comments on my Facebook page, which is Wisdom Walk Radio, or my website, which is www.wisdomwalktoselfmastery.com. And of course, if you're watching this as a video, you can leave questions or comments in the comments box below. But right now, I invite you to sit or lay back and join me for an exploration of the inner landscape where we can connect to the soul and discover the true treasure of being human. For those of you who listen or watch on a regular basis, you know this is where I call out to the ancestors. And honey, let me tell you, with everything that's been going on and what's changing and what's shifting, yeah, we need some ancestor support right here, right now. And even though this is Women's History Month, I am opening it up to all of the ancestors. I think we need all the help that we can get to help us really continue to learn and open up to learning how to navigate through this very critical period of life that the entire planet is going through right now. So I asked you to think about those ancestors in your life, and if you've got folks that you knew from came through the 1930s, like my mom and her siblings were born during the Depression and into war, those are people you want to be able to call on because they made it through, and many of them as children. And so there's something that they know, and there's something inherent in us that we know too, because epigenetics, the science of the DNA, has taught us that these things do come down through our bloodline. Yeah. So let's call on them. So think about them, say their names out loud, and we're going to call them in to give us the support that we're going to need, especially here in the United States, as we are learning how to accept and deal with the reality of coronavirus. So Creator, Mother, Father, God, Source, all the one, all that is, we thank you for your blessing and your mercy in our lives, and for yet another opportunity to call on you and to call on your great emissaries, the ancestors. Creator, at this time on this planet, in this galaxy, in our world, we are faced with an incomprehensible challenge around our health because of the coronavirus. And we need help more than what just our brains right now can get access to. And we need access to some higher help. And so, Creator, we're calling out to the ancestors, and we thank you for giving us this opportunity. And so ancestors, we call out to you, we invoke you, we invite you to come and be with us as constant guides, as constant way showers, as we are learning how to navigate, how to stay alive, how to be healthy, how to be well, how to be considerate as coronavirus has come for purposes still beyond our greater knowing. And so you who are in a place where problems that we have here are not problems there, you who can see in all directions at once, we are calling on you, and we thank you, we thank you, we thank you for coming and being with us, for guiding us, for teaching us, for enabling us to remember that not only this too shall pass, but that we will grow through it, we will become stronger through it. And so once again, Creator, I thank you. I thank you for the blessing of the ancestors. And I ask and thank you for all of this in the name of all that is holy. I say amen. Ashe Ahoasa, Shinga Bismillah. And so it is. Ashe. Ashe. Yes, yes, yes. So let me start off with some elemental wisdom for this week, and also a little bit of astrological insight to support you as we're going through this next week. I think it's about the beginning of week 3 here in the United States. At most places, I believe all places, are in this shutdown and social distancing. So this week, in the elemental week, falls on a Wednesday, because that was when the date when January 1st fell on a Wednesday. And this week we are moving into a water week on April 1st, on April Fool's Day. And here's the great opportunity. This is a time for releasing what can no longer support us on this new journey. Yeah. Call upon the power of love and the element of water to enable you to peacefully and gently bid farewell to people, places, things that once sustained you. Express gratitude, for these were essential contributions you received to your healing, to your growth. But now you've outgrown their energy. And it's time to make room for the new energy that is about to show up, and for most of us has shown up for us. Embrace vulnerability. Embrace the unknown. Say yes. Yeah. Distractions that you want to be aware of and, of course, stay away from. Number one is that fear of loss. It's so easy to focus on what am I losing? What am I losing? And forget about opening up to, oh, what could I be gaining? What could be coming in as a result of what is being let go of? Also, the fear of the unknown. None of us likes it, and this kind of change creates an enormous amount of unknown. But here's the opportunity. The opportunity is for us to become more inventive, more creative, more imaginative. So staying in the unknown means that you're not going to repeat things from the past that really can't work right now. So again, embrace the unknown. Don't be afraid of it. Another distraction is needing to know or explain outcomes that have yet to be lived. Yeah, we are all in a deep learning process on this planet. And whatever best practices are emerging, we definitely should learn from them. But again, nobody knows the whole story at this time. Yeah. And last but not least, holding on out of false obligation and false guilt to things that can no longer serve you. Not a good idea. Let them go. Now, next Wednesday, the 8th of April, we will begin another Nature Week. And this will be time to courageously welcome change. And of course, I'll tell you all about that in the next broadcast. Just a reminder, last Sunday, March 22nd, we had our monthly Earth Day. And at that time, I invited you to set an intention. And I'm asking you this week to hold and continue to enact on that intention of reducing the amount of plastic that you are using between now and April 22nd, which will mark the official Earth Day and its 50th anniversary. Yeah, looking forward to that. Now, let's move into some astrological information. Right now, the big event that's happening is that Saturn, which has been in the sign of Capricorn, conjunct with Pluto, and astrologers and metaphysicians have contributed this kind of radical, deep change that we're going through on the planet to that planetary alignment. And so what's happening now, which is really interesting, is that Saturn has left Capricorn and it's moved into the sign of Aquarius, which eventually it will stay in until 2023, when it makes that move in December, which we're calling, of course, the kickoff of the age of Aquarius. Now, what's happening is that Saturn is moving into Aquarius, but it's also going to be joined by Mars. And so I looked up two astrologers that I like that gave me some insights to share with you. One is from Braca Goldsmith, and I will leave her I will leave the YouTube link for you in the comments below this box and also on my Facebook page. And she points out some of the historical events that happened when Saturn was in Aquarius in the last 100 years. And so she went back to 1963 to 1962 to 1964. And in 1963, this is when Martin Luther King delivers the I Have a Dream speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, which changed history hugely, and we are still in the impact of that civil rights movement. Next time was 1991 through 1994. This was the birth of the World Wide Net and web browsers. And I know it's hard for people to believe that, yeah, before 1994 and that time, there was no international, there was no net, there was no web browsers, there was no Netflix, there was none of that stuff happening. So really interesting that that conjunction of Saturn and Aquarius can bring about some really significant communication changes for us. This next astrologer, her name is Michelle Knight. She comes from the UK, and I'm just going to read to you what she says. It's so cool. She says, Saturn rules time. It tells us not just time's up, but also marks a time out. Yeah, which we're all getting. She says, stepping back to realign ourselves and discover what we need to do to change our worlds. Oh, yeah. And changing the world out there always begins with us. Yes, internally. So she says, Mars and Saturn meeting in Aquarius on the 31st of March, which is Tuesday, gives us all the opportunity to have the courage to do this all-important inner work to change our world for the future. Aquarius and the 11th house is where our future resides and is set in motion. If we're not going anywhere, then this allows us to get up close and personal to what we truly need and what we need to do without any distractions, unless we make those ourselves, which is not a good thing to do. And again, I'll share her link for that so you can do some follow-up if you'd like. But again, this astrological information has just been so on point, so on point. It's just really, really amazing. And again, the whole idea here, of course, is if we can be more conscious about change is coming, then we don't have to be in such fear and we don't have to be in reaction. We can accept it and work with it and get through it. So with the time I have left, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about Abraham Maslow's gift to developmental psychology. And that has to do with our personal development. Then I'm going to talk about how in our understanding of personal development, we have made a shift from smart and wealthy to emotionally, sexually, and spiritually intelligent. And then last, I'm going to leave you with a personal challenge and awareness opportunity. My opening quote comes from Jean M. Auel. I think that's her name. Auel. I'm not sure. It's spelled Auel. You'll see the card in a minute. And she wrote a very, very popular book back in, I think it was in the 70s or the 80s, called The Clan of the Cave Bear, where she was writing these fiction, quote unquote, stories about life in prehistoric times. And her quote is, "Life is neither static nor unchanging. With no individuality, there can be no change, no adaptation, and in an inherently changing world, any species unable to adapt is doomed." Yeah. So, let me tell you a little bit about Abraham Maslow and his gift to the world. I got this from Ken Wilber, whose course I am taking. Ken Wilber is considered the Einstein of consciousness, a little genius, been around since the 1990s, talking about the theory of everything. But it's really cool stuff because he's done a lot of reading and integrating of science, spirituality, psychology, religion, and rolled it all together to talk about how it is that we as humans evolve. So it's really cool stuff. Anyway, here's about Abraham Maslow that you need to know. In the mid-20th century, the pioneering developmental psychologist Abraham Maslow triggered a groundbreaking shift in the field of psychology when he introduced his hierarchy of needs. Maslow's research shifted the study of the human psyche from one of pathology focus to growth focus. He recognized a massive shift in human development from deficiency needs to being needs. The individuals who made this leap, he recognized, functioned with a novel and profound set of capacities rarely seen. And this is him in the 1950s. This is when this was all coming together. In the decades since, and it's been about 70 some years, his work, his ideas have been proven, and we now know more than ever about the science of self-actualization, or what I call self-mastery. Now, self-actualization is the highest stage of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow defined a developmental need as something that, if it goes unmet, creates a pathology or dis-ease in the individual. By this, he meant that it is not simply a luxury, desire, or an optional pursuit. It is a core motivation that either needs to be fulfilled or it will fester to create bigger issues down the road. Yeah. So let me break this down a little more for you in terms of what does this mean. Here's the hierarchy of needs. There are 6 of them that he studied and developed. First one is physiological. In other words, humans must have food, clothing, and shelter in order to survive, right? So that's your basic need. And this hierarchy he put like it's graphed out like a pyramid. So that's at the bottom. Like everybody's got to have food, shelter, and clothing. Otherwise you ain't going to be here, right? Exactly. So then once that's satisfied, the next thing is you have these safety needs. And that's freedom from danger in and outside of your home. It also is related to financial for those of us living in the modern and postmodern world. Right, so we got to have this safety stuff met. Once you get that taken care of, then it's a focus on love and belonging needs. And this is where you need acceptance, you need validation, you need to be seen and included. And of course, you need to be loved and loving. You need to experience that. Okay, once you've done that, you go up the ladder. Now you're ready for self-esteem needs to be addressed, and that's external through seeking some kind of fame and fortune or recognition, or the higher form of self-esteem needs being met is internally through the pursuit of self-mastery, self-respect, and self-love. Then, once you've gotten there, then you step into this level of self-actualization. This is the being need. where it's no longer about what am I having and what am I doing. It's about how am I being? What am I being? And so this is about being authentic. This is about living on purpose and for the good of yourself and others. And then once you've done that, right now, this is the highest one for humans that he has talked about and studied. He calls it self-transcendence. I love it. You know, I just get such a kick when people who are doing stuff scientifically kind of break through to the spiritual languaging, right? It's just like, wow, I love it. Because this stuff is so ancient. This stuff is such ancient stuff. But again, we live in a modern world. We need some data. So he studied thousands of people to get this information. So anyway, self-transcendence, here's what it is. Offering ourselves to something well beyond our own self. Sounds like a greater order and direction to me, right? Becoming altruistic, and are you ready for this? Wait for it, or spiritual. I love it. So again, what he's saying here with his hierarchy is this is not simply a luxury, a desire, or an optional pursuit. Like, this is what we as humans have been programmed for. We are going up this ladder to self-actualize and ultimately to self-transcend. Isn't that beautiful? Just love it, love it, love it. So what does that mean in terms of personal development change? That means that we are shifting away from how we have been defining personal development, because we have been kind of stuck at the self-esteem stage. Yeah. And so there's been a heavy emphasis on the acquisition of material wealths and comforts, how to win friends and influence people, right? Dale Carnegie, and being able to do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, in any way that you want to do it, without expecting any consequences. Yeah. It's kind of pretty pre-adolescent level of consciousness. And so that's been around. I mean, if you go back and look at what they call the builders of America, you know, Rockefeller, Thomas Edison. There was a movie that came out called, oh God, I'm going to be, I know, The Currency Wars. If you haven't seen that, check it out, because it gives a wonderful glimpse into, yeah, these guys were brilliant. They were genius. You know, they were called the robber barons. You know, this is the Gilded Age. These are the ones that are laying the railroad tracks and laying out the light bulbs, you know, doing all this incredibly inventive and amazing things. But in their personal lives, oh my God. Yeah, like Henry Ford. Who was any crazier than him? So again, we're used to this. We're used to, oh, well, geniuses are just supposed to be crazy, right? Oh, well, celebrities are just supposed to be crazy. Well, no. We are shifting. We are shifting. And I'll just throw out some names. Harvey Weinstein, Matt Lauer, actress Lori Loughlin, I think that's how her name is presented. She was the one with the, you know, college conspiracy thing going on, college bribery. Charlie Rose, and of course, Donald Trump. Because he really was impeached. It's easy for people to forget that, but yeah, he was impeached. And this is just to name a few. Because now what we get, what we're ready for, because all of these people have, you know, been acknowledged as, oh no, this is not okay behavior. This is, you doing something that ain't right, and you know, we're not going to support you to keep doing it right. This is about personal development as truly growing up and stepping into, again, that beingness. So there are three aspects of our humanity that I think we need to understand, that we have to consciously adapt into the more of what it can be, to get into health and to get into balance. And these three are, number one, emotional intelligence. And in a previous broadcast, when I was talking this month about the adaptation in the workplace and career, I talked about that shift away from reading, writing as math as the most valued skills in order to have a job. and how it's shifting now that emotional intelligence becomes one of the valued skills. And that's emotions are healthy and balanced. That's the ability and willingness to accept and experience them without transferring them. It's a commitment to transforming your pain. Emotional intelligence, yeah. The next one is sexual intelligence. And again, with the Me Too movement, we've been able to see a lot of the sexual aberration that has been going on by wealthy or celebrity people that has been condoned or just accepted or ignored. Ain't happening like that anymore. And here's what sexual intelligence is. It's an understanding that humans are not sexual objects to be disrespected, played with, abused, traded, or enslaved. It's understanding the biological and emotional functions of sexuality and honoring and having reverence for sexual feelings and not acting upon them unless there is a legitimate consent. And I mean legitimate, because like a lot of the men I worked with, when we would interview them and ask them, what's the first time that you had a sexual intercourse experience? And they'd say, oh, I was 10 years old. Well, was it consensual? How old was your partner? It was like, oh, she was 19 or she was 23. And it was like, that's not consensual. You just a baby. That's abuse. And so again, legitimate consent, yeah, that means that the two people are at the same level of consciousness and understanding about what's really going on. Yeah. So the last one I'm going to talk about is spiritual intelligence. Now, this is not about religion, okay? Spirituality is not religion. Religion is a man-made process of knowing God. Spirituality is your own individual and unique experience of knowing your God, okay? So the two are different. Yeah. Now you can be spiritual and practice a religion, but you don't have to be spiritual to practice a religion. That's the difference. Yeah. And that's why you can have pedophilic priests, right? Because people think that like, well, how can that be happening? Well, if they don't really have an authentic and deep relationship with their God, of course they can be crazy and do horrific acts of sexual aberration. Okay? So just because somebody's practicing a religion does not mean that they really are spiritually intelligent. Because here's spiritual intelligence. It's a healthy and balanced, uniquely personal experience of who you are as a spiritual being walking an earthly path. It's reverence for and acceptance of a creator that is not humanized, not hanging on a cross, but abstract and mysteriously present, and of which you are a part. Yeah. So here's a personal challenge and awareness opportunity for you this week. In thinking about those three essential aspects of your humanity, emotional, sexual, and spiritual intelligence, where are you out of balance in each of those? Okay? Where are you out of balance? Next, why are you out of balance? Yeah, it's a deep contemplative question, and you got time to think about it thanks to Corona. But why are you out of balance in each of those areas? And then take time to discover new information to help you better understand and address your imbalances. Google, go online, Google, Wikipedia, whatever, go on Amazon, look at books and whatever, Kindle, but yeah, get some information, very important. Educate yourself. There's a lot of great information out on the web. And then last but not least, seek professional help for where you are being out of balance, especially if it is causing harm to others and or to yourself. And in this time of Corona, therapists and healers are standing by to work with you virtually. Yeah. Also know that the personal challenge I just gave you will be listed in a box below the YouTube video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell for postings. And thank you very much. So, in closing out, I want to do a shout out to my wonderful, wonderful engineer, Miss Yvette Parker, and to all of the entire Black Hole Radio Be Well family for their ability to continue to make sure that I can do this for you on a weekly basis. I want to shout out to all my regular listeners out there and to Miss Sarah, who asked me to share the following quote with you this week. It comes from President Jimmy Carter, and it says, "We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams." Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Miss Sarah, for that beautiful, beautiful sentiment. And to all of those who have wisdom walked with me, and you know who you are, to my family, my spiritual kin, my transformational leadership colleagues, my medicine brothers and sisters around the world, and to those who may be listening or watching in for the first time, thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't do this work without your willingness to receive my guidance and wisdom. Now, next week, I'll be introducing my April theme, which is Grow Up and Commit. And I'll start off talking about the commitment to social solidarity. And if you don't know what that is, tune in because I will tell you what it is about. Also, my book, Wisdom Walk to Self-Mastery, Ancient Wisdom for Transforming Pain. You can see it over here and see it on, flash it on the screen. Available through Amazon, through Kindle. I think it would be a great help for those of you who are home and if you want to avoid going into fear or want a way into your inner landscape where you can actually do some practical things to help you transform that pain. I highly recommend my book. And last but not least, I want to thank my God, my ancestors, my spirit guides and loving entities, everything that walks with me, keeps my head to the sky, my feet to the ground, and my heart open to do this important work with and for all of you. Please have a healthy and safe water week. Practice social distancing. Wear a face mask when you go out. A bandana will do. And do remember, you are not disposable. You are divine. Good night now.